I make videos solely on vibes. I'll be inspired to make a video if something's topical, but sometimes there's a concept or a topic that is so fascinating that I can't help but make a video on it. Today is not one of those days. Nothing is pulling me in a certain direction, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing to talk about or there isn't something that's fascinating. So this video will be a grab bag, just random ideas that I've had or concepts that I'm using in my games. And if there's anything you want to see expanded on, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll try to go deeper in that topic in its own video. And disclaimer, these are not things that I think you should be doing, rather things that I like to do or things I'm playing around with. Oh, and before we ask, just to get it out of the way, the mod that I'm using is not available publicly. The hair, the glasses, and the coloring of the Fuha can be found on Nexus mods. So the first thing I've been doing is using back hard kick to gauge frame traps. After a drive rush medium punch, I'm +6. Back hard kick is 10 frame startup, so there's a 4 frame gap. If Ryu uses a 4 frame attack with a 4 frame gap, that creates a trade. Unfortunately, Juri doesn't get much off of this trade as you're only +5. You would think with a 5 frame standing medium kick that you would be able to link, but the first frame of standing medium kick is too far away and it connects on the second frame. As I've been saying, they need to buff this move so that it connects more consistently. In this case here, you would have to use standing light kick. But for the most part, people usually will not hit a button here. Most of the time, they're actually going to throw. And using the back hard kick will actually beat the throw attempt out. This will cause a counter hit, which in the last patch shows that you can now go into Ankenatus after a counter hit. So I use this to gauge if they're mashing throw on the first possible frame. If our opponent blocks this, we can always go into light Fuha to stay safe. But this setup is about information. If they're not throwing here, they're either hard blocking or they're delaying their throw. And if they're delaying their throw, you would see them as just blocking this. And that's when I try to use drive, rush, crouching, light punch, back hard kick. There's a big enough gap so that if they throw immediately, I will get thrown out of it. But we've already tested this. If I saw this, then that tells me that they throw immediately. And if they don't take the bait here, then they're probably delay teching, which is why this delay tech trap works so well. So I test the small gap first to see if they get hit. If they don't get hit here, that's when I test the bigger gap. After Fuha, we usually will dash and walk and then mix up from there. If they go to press a button here, they will get thrown out of it. But we also can do a different one. Dash, drive, rush, and then throw. Or we could do dash, drive, rush, attack. Most of the time, I'll do dash, drive, rush, crouching, light kick to catch them trying to walk backwards. So I'll use this as a time to test them. And if I see that they block this, that's when I'll try the crouching light punch. Sometimes making these videos, I find more information through doing my testing. So I have Ryu set to do a delay throw, but for some reason, he didn't take the bait there. But I know it works because it works here. Well, that's because after the drive rush light punch, if you do it on automatic timing, you're +4. When technically, if you drive rush crouching light punch, you're +3. And based on the 6 frame delay that I have, just a random number that I picked, and based on that number that I picked, if I do it right, the dummy will not get hit because they're in 1 more frame of block stun. So the reason why I bring this up is maybe this is happening in my games. Maybe they're just 2+ and I have to adjust my timing of it. Just a thought, but making videos always helps me get a better understanding of things. The next thing I've been working on is attacking the drive gauge. People ask me, when is it acceptable to go into Feng Shui Engine? If you don't know, whenever you do your Feng Shui Engine dash, on hit, it takes 1 bar. And anytime you hit a punish counter, you take away meter from them. If you punish counter, you take away meter, and then you go into the Feng Shui Engine, you also take away meter. If you punish Feng Shui Engine, go in, and then end with drive impact, you take away more meter. So that sequence alone took away almost 3 bars. But what happens if they do a reversal? If they do a reversal, that's 2 bars. Punish counter, another bar. Feng Shui Engine, another bar. Drive impact, another bar. This also puts Ryu in a situation where they're forced to take an action to avoid burnout. If Ryu is half a bar or less, he's forced to try to perfect parry. If you bait the parry, then they're burnt out. This jump in also avoids reversals. They're burnt out. It's not just about Feng Shui Engine. If someone is knocked down and they have this much drive gauge here, they're forced to make a decision or be burnt out. If there ever a time where they're under 1 bar, you can actually burn them. If you don't have stocks, you could just use drive gauge. In this case here, with this knockdown, I'll have 1 stock. So I could just use the stock to be plus. But what usually happens here is, since they're low on drive gauge, they'll end up making a decision like using a level 1 for invincibility, or they'll force the burnout under their own decision, like with a drive reversal or an OD reversal, or they'll try to get away from you by holding up or backdashing, which allows them to get hit. Some players will say, hey, I can take a hit, but as long as I don't burn out, I can trade some of my health in instead of going into burnout. If you do get the hit, remember, keep the pressure and try to burn them. Remember, the same panic that people have when they're in burnout is going to be the same panic that they have when they're trying not to go into burnout. So remember, if a person is low on drive gauge, watch out for reversals, but keep the pressure on their drive gauge. So let's just say your opponent is on 1 hit. You can go for a strike and get some drive gauge off of it, but it's common to just do a back throw because you get a lot more drive gauge off of that interaction. But what if your opponent has more health than just 1 back throw? It's common for you to end a round with something that looks like this. Instead, what I've been trying to do is prioritizing Ankenatus to try to build more drive gauge up. Being able to judge your meter build here is important. You can kill your opponent with a few hits, but look how much drive gauge you get off of that. If you're sure you can kill, you can scale your combo to get more hits in. And with that, you will be able to build a lot more drive gauge off of that. Of course, the win is so much more important, so the consistency of getting the kill is very important. So I've been trying to use this combo route using Ankenatus a lot more, and even though it might not do as much damage, the drive gauge build going into the next round might be the distinction between a win or a loss. And for extra credit, I can also micro walk to get 1 more rep of the drive rush loop. This will build even more drive gauge. This sequence almost built 1 full super bar. Even with that much health, if I get a good whiff punish, I can use that sequence to build the gauge and go into the next round stronger for it. The goal of this is not to use your super meter, so make sure you're able to judge how much health they actually have. And if you get to this point here, you might have to use your super gauge. It's something I would consider, and make sure that you're able to gauge whether or not you need to drop the super or not. When you end a round, think about whether or not you needed the damage or if you could have gone and meter built instead. The next piece is Feng Shui Engine related. While under Feng Shui Engine, if you do the string ending in crouching hard punch, you could drive rush cancel off of it and the reset into a DI. This is a common string that I use in my set to catch them off guard and get some extra damage. I saw a friend of the channel, Chico, instead of using this string here to reset, they did standing hard kick and then reset off of a jab. His sequence did more damage because mine only does 1778, whereas he's hitting a heavy attack and it does 2190. And that made me remember, off of this string here, you can reset off of any button. Obviously, I can juggle into a sweep. I do this all the time. And I've also done this here and gone into double overhead. But I never thought about the rest of the buttons, like what else can we get? Which brought me to this sequence here. Feng Shui Engine juggles are about spacing and elevation. For an example, that doesn't work mid-screen, but I can space myself to make that work. This gives me the proper elevation and spacing to be able to juggle off the crouching heavy punch. But in the corner, it also gives me the elevation off of the forward heavy punch to be able to do this combo here. Anytime you can juggle into heavy attacks in Feng Shui Engine, it's ideal because you're getting the most off of your damage scaling. This combo here is fairly simple and is going to give you a decent amount of damage. A lot of people say Feng Shui Engine doesn't do a lot of damage, but if you look at it, some of the simplest combos actually do a decent amount of damage. Since this combo puts you so high up, you can also do a jumping strong. But that got me thinking, since you're so high up, and you can do a jump strong, since you're so high up, can't you do another jumping attack? Yes, you can. Which led me to this concept here. This is incredibly finicky and hard to time. This is a very finicky setup. It's based upon height, it's based upon timing, it's based upon spacing. The most consistent I can come up with it is this sequence here. Forcing yourself being further away with this sequence here allows for a further distance required for the drive rush. This lets Ryu drop a little bit more and makes it easier to hit the next attack. But even this, if we automatically hit medium punch, we still whiff. So what I've been doing is delaying after the crouching medium kick. If you delay a bit after the crouching medium kick and then go into heavy punch, it allows you being a little bit further out and allows you to normalize that medium punch. Actually, I'm lying. None of that normalizes anything. This is a very finicky setup, and I haven't found a way to normalize it yet. This is a really hard setup, feels frame perfect, but there's definitely something here. The more I show everyone, the more you can test. Maybe you'll find something that works automatically. If you find something, hit the comment section below. The last thing is a little abstract, so walk with me on it. I'm going to turn on the virtual controller to show you what I mean. When whiff punishing, I'll use heavy punch into Ankenatus. And if you look at how fast I input the Ankenatus, it's very close to when I hit the heavy punch. Obviously, since the characters are just standing here, it's no big deal, but if you look, it's a very fast cancel. If I turn on punish counter, if you look, there's no need to do it so fast. There's a bigger gap between the heavy punch and the Ankenatus. In fact, it's enough time to confirm whether or not it hit. You might say, why does this matter? I make the heavy punch into Ankenatus one motion, and because of that, often I feel slower for having done it. Instead of doing this complex motion that requires me to almost queue up my attack, if I focus on just getting the heavy punch out as quick as possible and then confirming into the Ankenatus, it will make reacting to shimmy situations a lot easier because I'm not trying to react with an Ankenatus. I'm just trying to react with a heavy punch. And the dummy doesn't want to react with a there it is. There's sometimes where I burn my brain out trying to get this out. And obviously, this is the fruit of my labor that I've been practicing this so much. But I used to sometimes miss the window for the whiff punish. So I've been practicing just trying to react to what I need to only with the heavy punch. And this makes it a lot easier to confirm into the Ankenatus and not have to use drive gauge, because I'm afraid that I was too late. The same thing could be said for other buttons, like forward medium punch. This button is very fast, and you have a lot of time to confirm into the Ankenatus. This works because punish counter gives you extra frames to work with, and focusing just on the button press only will help you get your move out much quicker. And in that split second where you're hitting your button, you can confirm whether or not you got the hit. This is super important because a lot of times I will miss my opportunity to punish on a shimmy. I don't always get the chance for a shimmy, so being able to get that is important. So what I've been doing is this drill to confirm the whiff throw, and on top of it, trying to split the Ankenatus with the button press to allow myself to hit the button earlier while still getting the extended combo. This will help me be more consistent. This is not a typical video, as this isn't a guide on what you should be doing. I'm not saying any of these things are correct. This is just my journey. But hopefully something here will inspire you. And hopefully something here will help you on your journey. If you like this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And join the Discord if you want to keep in touch with the community, or my DMs are always open. If you ever have a question, best way to keep in touch with me. Thank you for all the support. Tell your loved ones that you love them, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.